From my home in Henderson, Nevada, it's my TED Talk. I will talk about the Marxist criticism George Orwell uses in his novel 1984. And I'm Lono Travis. You might ask, what is Marxist criticism? Well, we'll start by going deeper into the history of Marxism. Marxism is the movement created by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels that focuses on the class struggles between the upper class, known as the bourgeoisie, and the lower working class, the proletariat. The Marxist idea is opposed to all forms of capitalism, viewing it as an undemocratic system that allows for the exploitation of the majority working class by the small capitalist class that dominates the government. Marxist criticism analyzes literary works while paying close attention to the distinctions between class that allow for oppression to occur. The views of society that are depicted in 1984 show a harsh, tyrannical rule over its people that we, as the readers, would not want in our own society today. Throughout 1984, Orwell exhibits a perfect dystopian society that demonstrates different aspects in order to make it function. In order to analyze 1984 from this lens, I will first discuss the differences between the classes that are present throughout the novel. I will then discuss the class struggles, or the lack of, that is shown in the novel. Finally, I will connect 1984 to our own modern society and propose what Orwell was trying to tell us by creating the Society of Oceania. To help get an image of the novel 1984, I will give a synopsis of it. The story takes place on a cold day in 1984 in Oceania, which is the totalitarian superpower of the post-World War II Europe. Winston Smith, the protagonist of the story, is an editor of records at the Ministry of Truth. He begins to write in a journal of his rebellious thoughts, which is illegal in the world he lives in. Winston is constantly monitored by the upper class everywhere he goes, along with everyone else in this society. At work, he becomes curious about a brunette whose name is Julia. They have a secret love affair. As they fall deeper in love, Winston's feelings about the government change. He becomes very rebellious and attempts to join the Brotherhood, a revolutionary group that wants to overthrow the government. He meets a man named O'Brien, who he believes to be a member of this group. Instead, O'Brien is really a member of the Thought Police and tortures Winston into believing that everything that Big Brother says is true. So to begin, I will discuss the social classes that are present in the novel. In Oceania, there are three different classes. First, we have the proles, or the working class, which is the lowest class in this society. Then, we have the outer party. This would represent the middle class. Winston and Julia represent this class, but they also associate with the proles when trying to revolt against the highest class. This highest class being the inner party, which is the final class, and this refers to the Thought Police and Big Brother. The Thought Police and Big Brother control Oceania. They depict a very totalitarian rule over the people. The people of Oceania are so controlled by Big Brother that they are not even allowed to think for themselves. This brings in the Thought Police, who make sure that the citizens of Oceania think how the government wants them to think. There is no equality in this society. In Anthony Kearney's criticism, he discusses how Orwell used this aspect of equality. He writes, Orwell lists equality as one of those words used in variable meanings, in most cases more or less dishonestly. In 1984, he reveals even sharper anxieties about the term. The actual word itself has been reduced by Newspeak to mean no more than identical. Newspeak is the manner of how the citizens of Oceania must speak, taking away equality. In conclusion, we can see how the difference in class is shown throughout the novel, and understand that the society in Oceania is under a totalitarian rule. This brings me to my next point of class struggle. Class struggle comes from Marxist ideology, and it translates to the conflict that is presented between the working class and the ruling class that inevitably ends with a revolt. From my previous point, we can already see that the proles and the outer party are treated unfairly by the ruling party, Big Brother. But would this cause enough of a class struggle to end with a revolution and ultimately the downfall of Big Brother? Since the proles are the lowest class, they are seen to be unimportant and insignificant. So they do not need to show as much admiration for Big Brother, but they must follow all the rules. The outer party is under strict constant supervision and are not given luxuries like those given to the outer party. The outer party is the most exclusive. Although in the novel Winston and Julia discuss and plan a revolution, it never happens. At the end, Winston's hatred for Big Brother disintegrates and he is able to love and understand Big Brother, or he is forced to. So, from the definition of class struggle, there really is not a drastic amount of class struggle in this novel, since a revolution never actually takes place. And Peter Verschow talks about the concern the working class has when contemplating a revolution. He writes, 1984 is concerned with the inevitability of the working class, mainly the outer party, to gauge whether the post-revolutionary society is better off than the pre-revolutionary one. This preoccupation also extends beyond practical concerns to a larger metaphysical worry about how totalitarian states are able to reshape the past for their own purposes, thereby controlling the identity not only of their societies but also of their individual citizens. So it's not that the outer party never thought about a revolution, they just thought that a life revolting would not be better than their life currently. So, class struggle is not fully shown in 1984. Finally, I'm going to discuss how Oceania's society relates and connects to our society today. Are we being manipulated to believe things and to think things that we should not? Maybe not to the extent of that of Oceania's citizens, but we could be seeing things on our television that are lies, but the people behind the screen want us to believe it. It is true. This was kind of what Oceania's citizens went through when they would get their filtered shows on their telescreens. Jania Butler wrote a column back in 2013 discussing how she sees how 1984 connects to our society. She writes, "We get caught up in this nonsense while the world around us is becoming more Orwellian every day. Official deception, secret surveillance, and manipulation are reminders of totalitarian states. Now, I do not think we are under a totalitarian rule, but I do think that we may be manipulated into believing something because we are so concerned with reality TV." Butler continued to discuss what we need to do to not fall into the deception of false reality by writing, "We have to get involved with everything. We have to vote every time. We have to move and work as a unit. We have to love each other no matter what. No one is coming to save us. If we don't reach deep within and find ourselves, we can say goodbye to ourselves." To go off of that, you don't need to love everyone, just accept them and understand them. We have to come together and work together to not go into a totalitarian society. We must remember the quote from 1984, until they become conscious, they will never rebel, and until they have rebelled, they cannot become conscious. So, to conclude this talk, let's review what was discussed. I first discussed how the classes are different in the Oceania society, from the proles to the outer party to finally the ruling inner party. I then discussed the lack of class struggle between the outer party and the controlling inner party. The lack of revolution made it so there was a lack of class struggle. Finally, I discussed the Marxist views of 1984 and how it correlates to our society today. As a society, we need to look at the weak, negative aspects of societies depicted in novels like 1984 and deviate from them to create a more functional and an equal society. We need to take the warnings of Orwell and apply it to our lives today. Thank you for watching.